I'm going to teach you how you can be so calm that it makes other people nervous. This is something that I've been doing for a long time now, but it's not something that I learned just naturally. It's something that came from a lot of experience, a lot of practices, a lot of effort, a lot of failing, and I'm going to save you a lot of time and energy by just showing you simply how this can be done and how you can become so calm that it makes other people completely nervous. My name's Nick Bannock, and I'm an entrepreneur and also an NLP master and certified men's life coach. Now, I do a lot of different things, and I've done a lot of different things throughout my life. I grew up on the East Coast in a place that was not calm. I grew up in New Jersey, really densely populated state. It was intense. There's a lot of things that went on. I grew up in a place where my high school was pretty rough. There was a lot of crime around me. There's a lot of turmoil that I went through. And there's a lot of funky things that I've been through in my life. It wasn't exactly a calm household environment that I grew up in either. So naturally, I was not a very calm person. I was not, I was a high strung, high stressed, highly anxious person for a lot of my life. And eventually, when I was about 19 years old, I moved to Oregon by myself. I moved across the US, moved to Oregon, and kind of created a new life for myself. Now, the funny thing is, I was changing my environment. I was thinking, hey, that maybe this is a way that I could, get better in my life. I knew that there were things that I wanted to improve in life even back then. I knew that there was behaviors that I had that I didn't like and just ways I was doing things that I wanted to change, but I just couldn't quite figure out what to do. So I did what most people do. I changed my environment. That's usually where people start when they start trying to look for change, is they change their environment. It's not a thing that has a lasting impact most of the time because your problems just go with you to where you're going, right? That's just what it is. But I was young and that's what I tried. And then I went through, like most other people, the behaviors. I tried to change behaviors. I tried to do that. And I tried to learn new skills. I tried to read things. I did a lot of work on myself over the years. But really, like, things were chaotic for me. I was in a relationship with someone that I ended up getting married to and having children with, and later we got divorced. We just weren't really right for each other, and that's okay. I'm grateful for the experiences that we did have. But we got together young. We both had a lot of stuff to work on, a lot of issues, and we had children young. And so life was chaotic. I went from growing up in a chaotic way to creating my own sort of new chaotic life. And that is not ideal. And it's obviously not what I wanted. But and then I was in a career that was very stressful. I built a very successful career, grew it, sold the company, and that was all amazing. But throughout that process, I was leading teams, building companies, doing all this stuff. And I was working on myself slowly, but I was still anxious. I was still high strung, and I was not calm. I could never quiet my thoughts. I tried meditation apps. I tried everything. And just none of it was working. I did therapy for years. I did all these things, and I am a great father. I was a great partner, provider, and I was still doing the things that on the outside people were like, "Wow, like you're a good dad, you're a good man, all this stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I just don't feel like calm. I don't feel like that stoic, calm demeanor that I really wish that I had." And so I started to do some deeper and deeper work over time. And eventually, so eventually I got separated, got divorced, all that. I was doing all this work throughout that process. Now, as the weird thing is, as I started to get more calm and I started to actually accomplish the things I wanted, my marriage actually got worse. And that was clear to me that I was in the wrong relationship. Now I'm engaged and in an amazing relationship. I live with my partner. It's truly beautiful. She's an amazing woman, and we have a very conscious and healthy relationship. My relationship with my kids is super strong and great, and it's just amazing. Even my relationship with my ex-wife is good. And so that is really, really impactful to me. And a lot of this comes from I learned how to actually be calm and stop reacting to things. Now, you can't just do this by sheer force of will. That will only get you so far because you'll start to feel burnt out if you're faking it. You have to actually start to change your identity and who you believe yourself to be. Now, I believed that I was a high-strung, type A, super anxious person. I believed that about myself. So no matter what I tried to do to change it, it wouldn't matter because I believed that about myself. That was a belief in my actual identity. And if you don't change that belief in your identity, then you can't become calm. You just can't. You can't sustain it. Anything that you're trying to become, you have to actually believe it. Otherwise, you're behaving in a way that's inauthentic and you will start to burn out and unravel. That's just the way it works. You can't fake it. You can't try to pretend to be something. You can't just tell yourself you're a certain thing and then you become that. That's not how it works. That's just trying to do things by sheer force of will and discipline. It's like when I said moving across country, that didn't change who I was. It just changed where I was, right? And behavior is changing what I do, but that doesn't change who I am. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. You have to start to change who you are. The way that you do that is you start to identify times where you've actually been calm, times where you've actually had that ability. You start to identify those times and start to see, okay, maybe I actually am someone who is calm at times. Maybe not all the time, but there has been times where you've been calm. Everybody. There's been times where you've been stoic and like less reactive. Now, a lot of it is going to take some serious self-work. So I'll use an example of, let's say you're reactive to your children, right? Or if you don't have children, let's say you're reactive to your coworkers and you get defensive when you're criticized, or you get reactive when somebody's behaving in a way that you don't like. That's not going to work, right? We don't want to, being defensive is going to be like, being defensive is not going to be a good for any man. If you're a man and you become defensive under criticism, you're going to get disrespected. You're going to feel like people aren't going to respect you. Like basically, if you get defensive as a man, it's a very, very feminine quality. And there's nothing wrong with feminine qualities, masculine and feminine. We all have masculine and feminine. But most men are going to respect you when you're in your true masculine. And a truly masculine man does not become defensive under criticism. They take the criticism calmly. That's very masculine, right? That is a very masculine thing to do, is just to take the criticism calmly. You have to be like a pillar, like a rock, if you want to be respected, especially as a man. So the thing is, if you're getting defensive and anxious when you get criticized, then you have to start to assess that foundation. So the first thing you have to do is start to identify, why are you feeling the way that you do? Why is this happening? Like, why are you feeling anxious under criticism and defensive under criticism? What is it about you that you believe that is causing you to get that way? So that's the first thing. Try to understand what you're actually believing about yourself that's causing you to react this way. It's very simple. A lot of times we believe things about ourselves that we haven't thought about. They are in our unconscious. Now we can get to those most of the time by looking through certain memories. So you can close your eyes and you can actually start to bring up times where you've been maybe defensive or reactive or felt the same way. Maybe start to go back and find some experiences where you've had that and think about, well, why was I reacting that way? What did I believe that was causing me to react this way? And you'll find some answers. Now, another thing you can do after you go through some of that is you can start to think about, what is it in your values that might be causing the problem? So maybe you get defensive because maybe there's something that you value in yourself. Maybe there's some core value that you have that you feel like is getting attacked, but also it's something you don't really believe about yourself and you feel like an imposter. This is like, we talk about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome comes from a lot of times people like valuing success but feeling like a failure. So they're faking it. They're trying to fake success, but they don't truly feel like they're a successful person. So they have imposter syndrome, even though like they might actually be good at what they do. This is the kind of thing that we're talking about. So same thing can happen in this case. Like maybe you're getting criticized because maybe your partner's telling you, hey, like maybe they're not even telling you something that harsh. Maybe they're telling you something like, hey, like I would really appreciate it if like I've been noticing like that you haven't been folding the laundry. Let's just take something trivial. You haven't been folding the laundry. And then you're just, hey, what? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, I have. I did it last week. And you start getting like super defensive and like reactive, and you're feeling your nervous system get a little funky. And so when you start drilling into that, maybe you start to find, okay, this is coming from an area of my life where I've been criticized a lot. Maybe you've been criticized a lot for not following through or something. And there's some belief that you have that, that being consistent is important, but you don't feel like a consistent person, let's just say. That's a misalignment that's causing you to be defensive because nobody likes their identity to be shaken. Nobody likes it. It's not comfortable when your identity is in shambles. Like that's why we don't do a lot of, most people don't do a lot of work on their actual identity because it's hard. And I'm not going to tell you that this is super easy. I'm going to tell you that you can do this, right? Simple and easy aren't the same thing. This is simple, but it's not always easy, right? So what I want you to do is to really think about what is that misalignment that is causing you not to be calm. Like for me, I was anxious because I never felt like I was enough. I felt like I needed to prove myself all the time. I didn't feel like I was successful. I felt like a failure. I didn't feel like I was strong. Even though when I was being strong, there were so many areas. Like I had a perfectionist tendency where I felt like I needed things to be perfect, but I knew that I was imperfect. There was a lot of things like that going on for me. And a lot of it came from the way I grew up, what I experienced. I had a lot of baggage in from my past marriage, like relationship, and some of the stuff that went on there. And I had to work through all that and see, which of these things are actually areas where I need to actually just own them and work on myself. Which of these things are not true? Which of these things do I maybe value, but I don't actually believe are embodied in my identity? And I had to identify all those. So you want to start going through all of these experiences and identify those. Now, some ways that you can do this is by actually thinking about times where you felt a certain way and then writing it all down. You can write it all down. You can get some insights from doing that process. Now, after you've identified the values that you want and have and need, then what you can start to do is you can actually take some of these different experiences that you've had and just change the submodalities associated with them. And what I mean by that is take the experience that you're having. And I've done other videos on this, so I'm not going to go into all the submodalities, but you can check out some of the other videos on the channel. You can also go into the description and join my free school community. And I have some free courses and resources and things in there that you can learn more about this from that are very practical, and they take you through things step by step. So definitely check that all out. So I'm not going to go into every single detail here. Otherwise, this video is going to become like way too long. So anyway, what I'm going to tell you though is with the experiences that you've had that where you've been reactive or you've been defensive or whatever it is that you're dealing with, that you're trying to change here so that you can become calm and actually remain calm. Take those experiences and change the submodalities of them. So if you actually experience one of these, if you go into your memory and you see a large, bright image that you're reliving of a time where you were very defensive, well, remove yourself from it, dissociate from it so you're actually seeing it from a third-party perspective. Make it smaller, make it dimmer, make it quieter, make it so you don't feel anything in your body, and then shoot it off into the distance. Make it 300 yards away from you so that the memory's there, but it's not affecting you anymore. And then what I want you to do is pull up experiences where you've been really calm and bring them close, associate into them so you're reliving them, make them bright, loud, feel those, and make a whole collage of them in front of you. And just analyze them and sit with those. Sit with those experiences of you being extremely calm when you're really living those values. And what I want you to also do after that is I want you to, from a third party perspective, visualize your ideal self, the you that is calm, that does make people nervous because they're so calm, so strong and sturdy and masculine. That you, not what they're doing, but who they actually are, the values they embody. This is the you that you want to be in the future. I want you to observe that person from a third party perspective and just see that person, that future you, that ideal you. The you that you know that you can become because you've had these other experiences that we just went through. And what I want you to do is really observe that you. And then what I want you to do is step into that from a first party perspective. So now you are that person. You are that you. You can feel everything. Feel what it really feels like to be that person that's so calm that it makes other people nervous. Really just experience that you. And just sit with that. Just sit with it. Experience it. You don't have to think about much. Think about maybe now what I want you to do is just maybe think about, how am I going to react in criticism? What I want you to do is actually be that you and feel all those things. And now step out of it because now you've felt it, you know what it is. And now actually future pace into a scenario of somebody criticizing you for something or somebody doing something that would usually lead to you being maybe defensive or reactive to your children or something like that. And just see how that feels. And if it feels like, hey, I'm actually totally fine with this and I'm going to handle this in a very peaceful manner and you really feel that, then you're good. If not, go back and repeat some of those steps because there's probably more experiences that you need to go through. And for some people, this might only be a few experiences. For some, it might be dozens. It just depends on you, your situation, and all of that. So go through this process and let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I will get to your questions, and I'm happy to talk further. And even better, just join the Skool community and ask questions in there, and I'll reply even with like videos or audios and things like that. And I will see you all soon.